So this guy totally slipped into my DMs. Slid? Slipped right in and right out. My God.
Slipped in.
Okay. Wow. Okay,
Wow,
so
sounds very
Yeah,
sexual.
It does. Yes. Use a condom. Welcome back, you guys,
To another episode.
This is episode number 6. I
She's
cannot
still
believe
counting.
it's 6 already. Do I have to stop?
No,
I
we're
love
going to be
it.
at like
It makes me so
99, and
happy.
she's going to say like, welcome back to episode 99. You just do your
99
thing.
episodes on
That's
the
going to be
wall.
that's going to be so cute.
I know. But thank you guys so much for joining us. All the support and engagement has just been absolutely amazing. And you know what? We just want to remind you guys that we have been through this. We're not saying we're experts, but we've been through the divorce stuff.
And we
so
keep
we're
getting a lot of questions about what's it like through the divorce process.
Yeah, what happens after? What do
Yeah.
you like? How do you feel? And so we do want to have those
We're
conversations.
going to have a
with
whole
you guys.
episode about that.
Yeah, where we're just a little bit more serious and we really talk about the hard stuff.
Right.
So we're looking forward to doing that. But today, for our topic today, we kind of wanted to talk about something, and we're telling you this so that you don't fall into the same trap that we did.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware. We're talking about ghosting and catfishing today. So this is going to be a really fun episode because we've got a
Buckle
lot
up.
to tell you guys. Things to watch out for. Buyer beware is good. That is
Thanks,
exactly.
I didn't think of it.
I thought of that one.
You did?
I don't think.
Nice. Oh, she's like,
No, I didn't either. Anyways, yeah. So we're excited to have you guys join us. We're going to tell you, of course, Andrea's got a few fun
Andrea's got some
stories to
stories.
tell about what's happened to us when we've been either ghosted or catfished.
because it
And
happens to everyone.
It does.
It can happen to everyone.
It can happen to everyone, and it doesn't. It's not the end of the world.
No.
It doesn't mean anything. So we're just excited for you guys to join us. We are loving a lot of your questions that are coming in. You guys have been emailing us. We do have a dedicated email at info@frommrs2ms.net, and we want to hear more
Yes.
stories, more feedback, more questions from you guys, because that's how we get more shows. We get more exciting topics to talk to you about. So please reach out to us and email us or find us on Instagram, YouTube, wherever you guys like to watch us or listen on Spotify.
Are you ready to get into it?
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. So we really want to talk first about ghosting. So
Right.
yeah, but let's define it.
Let's define
do
it.
the actual term. And so according to Urban Dictionary, ghosting is when a person cuts off all communication with their friends or their person they're dating with zero warning or notice beforehand.
Correct.
Okay, so everybody knows what ghosting
Right.
is. Now, what do you think ghosting is?
Well, I think there can be different levels.
Okay,
Okay.
tell me
So,
more.
like, if I'm chatting on Hinge or Bumble with the guy that I've just matched with, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then it fizzles out, I wouldn't define that as ghosting.
Yeah.
Like somebody's like not interested in continuing the conversation anymore. Like that's
Well, I think that's important to figure out, like, at what point is it
does it
is it
become,
okay, or is it, yeah, are you not offended by it or not? I know, even though sometimes if somebody ghosts me like right off the bat, oh, you get that little
But
right?
even in
A
those
little
early
tinge of mad.
conversations,
Oh yeah, because I'm just like,
How?
huh.
I don't know
happened?
these people. To me, it's like whatever.
Well, I know, see? But this goes into where I'm like, that's a little bit of my anxiety or whatever that just makes me go, what did I do wrong? Like, why isn't he talking to me? And then I start replaying it in my head. So, I mean,
But I would do that too, probably down the road, just not earlier when I guess like more of a connection has been established. Like we've gone on a date, or it's somebody that I know personally.
So this friend you're talking to now that you met, if y'all remember, she
we
had met
matched.
somebody that she's been chatting with. So at this point, it's been a little bit of time. So
that
you
would
wouldn't
probably
ghost him.
no, I wouldn't ghost him. And if he were to ghost me, I would probably at this point be like, hey, I'm not feeling it. I would kind of expect that, and I would in return probably give that to him too. If I could tell that he was still interested in having the conversation, or if I felt that I was still like, yeah, I would give that. And I would expect it back, like, hey, I'm just not feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
Nice chatting with you.
Do you think that it makes you change what you've said? Like, say you say some things, you're talking to somebody, and you're going back and forth, and then you get ghosted after a little bit. Do you change it up next time, and maybe you're like, oh, maybe that wasn't the right approach?
No.
No, you
I
just kind of do
don't.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. You just
Yeah.
kind of do you. So, I don't know, has it happened to you? Like, have you been ghosted yet?
Yes. You know the story. You know the story well, because this is when we first met. what was going on when you and I first met.
Oh, that's
This
right.
is a story
That's right.
that
Okay,
was-
we're going to
this
get to that good story in a second. But we want to we just want to touch a little bit more on the ghosting and talk about something called soft ghosting.
Right. We just learned this term the other day.
This
when
might
we
be
were
for all the
talking it
millennials or
through.
the Gen
Right.
Zs that call it soft ghosting.
Which this makes so much sense.
Okay, tell us what it is.
Well, it's a new term.
Okay.
For when you're slow to reply or you give short answers. So that's the definition of soft ghosting, which is pretend you and I have been chatting, and then I'm like, and now all of a sudden I'm so busy. Like you try to engage
so
in
like every
conversation,
time
to
I
go
try
somewhere.
I ask you, so how's your day? You're like, oh gosh, I've just been so busy.
Right. Or if you're like, let's get together tomorrow, and I'll be like, oh, sorry, I can't. I've got an event to go to. Or you're just always busy forever.
See, I'd rather they just cut it then.
Me too.
Just
Me
do
too.
hard ghosting.
But I think a little soft ghosting is okay.
Yeah.
In the beginning. But if I'm just not getting the hint, I can get a hint pretty easily.
You can. Okay.
But if someone's not getting the hint, I think then
Then
I
you got a
agree.
hard
You got
ghost.
a hard. Is it hard ghost?
I don't know.
Would that be the term?
We're coining that one. Hard ghost, soft ghost. There's also another term, LA Fadeaway. I don't know what that is either.
I think it's the same thing, just another term.
How old are we?
Too old. Too old to have to worry about ghosting.
What do you think your kids call it? Because they're like technically Gen Z.
I would say they would call it a soft ghost, but I don't know.
I'm trying to think if I've ever heard my kids say that. I don't.
You don't know what they would call it?
No.
What
No.
would we have called it back in the day?
Drop it like it's hot.
Let's go with that. Or drop it like it's not
Not hot.
'cause
Apparently, it's not hot. So, how do you feel about ghosting?
I think, again, it depends on the level you're at. I am not going to be offended if a guy that I've been just chatting with in the beginning, if it fizzles out. I think it fizzles out frequently. That doesn't bother me at all. It only bothers me when I feel like one of the parties expects it to keep going, and it deserves an explanation.
Huh. And the majority of the time, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
It's usually something with them because you don't know their story at all.
No.
So they could be like chatting and maybe they're married, they get busted, so they got to cut
gotta
that
cut
real
that
quick.
off.
Yeah.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Or maybe they're just not feeling it and they're too scared to tell you.
But I'd rather know.
Yeah, I don't really ghost. I don't think I really ghost people. I did. I mean,
So have you been ghosted? You've ghosted and you've
I've
been
been ghosted for sure. For sure. I don't remember those stories.
No.
We don't talk about
We don't
those.
talk about those.
But I do remember ghosting somebody that we exchanged numbers and then we talked on the phone for a while and I was just, I don't know, I just was not interested, I felt terrible. And he just kept talking and talking.
But at that point, do you feel like you got to just be like,
I should have just said, hey, I'm not feeling it. But instead, then he asked if I wanted to chat again or go on a date. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, sure.
Soft ghosting.
So I soft ghosted. But no, because then I totally ghosted. When he reached out again, I just ghosted. I wish there was an easier way to do it.
it's just circumstantial.
It
It
is.
just depends on.
It is. I think it's, yeah.
I think you just need to be respectful. Like if you feel that you're being the ghoster, like maybe think about how the other person's feeling.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I agree.
Who
I
am
think that's good advice. I think that before you do it, think of if that's the best way to approach that. Because sometimes, like if I go on a date and I come back and I just didn't really feel anything, I might right off the bat just text him and say, hey, listen, I had a fun time tonight, but I didn't feel a connection.
Do you do that if you know he was feeling it? Or if he thinks you were feeling it? Because I feel like if he knows that I'm not feeling it,
you said that on your first date or second
I
date, you
could tell
guys kind of knew.
that was not.
Yeah, but if you're getting the vibe that he's into you and you're not,
you might need
then
to
you gotta
send
nip
that.
it in the
I
bud.
agree. You might need to send that text.
Yeah, I would probably do that. Okay, tell me about your story.
Okay, so you know the beginning of the story. Well,
Well,
no,
they
you know
don't.
I'm going to tell the whole thing. Well, long story short, but you know it all.
Oh,
this is
good.
one story that
Okay, recap.
you're up to date. Okay.
Okay.
Long story short, I match with a guy that I know in real life.
Ah!
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
we match.
Okay, wait. Can I ask
Okay, yes,
questions
yes.
as we go?
Yes.
Okay. So, what did you think when you first saw him? Like, you immediately knew.
I knew
it was
exactly
him.
who he was. Yeah.
Did you? Then were you like, ooh? I
No,
gotta go
I
through
like.
and look?
Oh yeah, no, I looked at his profile. He had a really good profile. Really good profile.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But we we used to chat occasionally on Snapchat.
Okay.
Which is a little weird, but like we didn't have each other's numbers, but we would occasionally keep in contact over the last couple of years, just very friendly. Like, hey, how you going? Like, how's it going? What's like update? And then he like pops up on, and he didn't live here. So I guess that's why he never popped
so
up
for
on
those
my
of you that
Bumble
don't know
before.
that, if you're, I don't know if it's on all the sites, but I know for a fact on Bumble, it shows up wherever you are.
Right.
So if we're here, it's going to find people within our radius here. But if I go back to Dallas or something, then it switches. By the time my flight's landed, I'm already like.
And there's like travel mode and all that
Yeah.
stuff, so you can change your location before you come. But so I guess he was in town visiting or whatever, and so that's why he popped up, right?
So were you like, oh yeah?
Well, I was like, I don't know what to do because like I was like, well, if I swipe left, like. Then
That's a good point.
didn't know what to do. And if I swipe right, that's awkward too. So I like just swiped out of the app.
I feel obligated to swipe right if I know them or we've gone out or do something just because I'm like, oh.
Right. But then like if
And
you
then you-
swipe right and then
and
like
then just let it
they
expire.
swipe left on you, then you know then because they never you never match. So it's like it was an awkward situation. So I just got out of the app. But anyway, long story short, I ended up swiping right on him and we matched. Okay, so yay! So we ended up going out for coffee. So this was already changing it up, right? I wasn't at the bar.
Oh yeah. I'll take that back. I'll take back my big sigh. You're right.
Okay, so long story short, I'm going to say that because this is a long story and we don't have time for the whole thing.
But give us the deets.
Okay, so we ended up going and I told him my whole meet and greet thing, right? So he already, like everybody.
Wait. How do people respond to this? Are they looking at you like?
No,
okay.
they get it. It makes sense once I explain it. It makes sense.
Okay.
But we already knew each other too. So it was like, was it a meet and greet, right? So I told him all that. We had a really good time. We chatted over coffee and I drank hot chocolate because I don't drink coffee. And then he was like, hey, are you hungry? Because we had sat there and
Just chatted.
chatted for so long.
You worked up a sweat.
No, we weren't sweating.
Okay.
So we left the coffee shop and we went to another location and we got dinner, right? Had great conversation. And then
Was there any, you walked from one place to the next?
No, we drove. I got in my own car and I know him personally and I still got in my
Your own car. Okay.
Yeah.
Good move.
So-
That's very smart.
Drove there. Then he walked me to my car. I got in and I left and he followed it up with a very nice text, right?
Okay.
So fast forward the next 2 weeks, we're chatting.
Okay.
Right?
Yes,
And
yes.
then all of a sudden, I don't know if it's like intuition or I don't know what happened, but he sent a text and just something the way he responded, I'm like, something's off.
Oh.
And it was just something weird, something
different
clicked.
than it
yes,
had been
and I'm
the
like,
whole time.
And in my head, I was like, he's not going
He
to
lost
text
interest
me.
or
Yeah,
something.
something happened.
Yeah.
Because it was very mutual.
Okay.
Like we were chatting, getting to know each other a little bit more than we had. And he would text me sometimes. It was very much a mutual thing, right?
Okay.
Like, okay. So, but in that instant, I'm like, something's off. And I even remember saying that. I'm like, that's weird. Like, I don't think he's going to text me the next day.
Were
So-
you disappointed at that moment?
no, at first I was
Did
like,
you know-
oh, you're just really just getting in your head, like, right? Okay.
Yeah,
So
which
then
we do.
he didn't text me the next day, and I was like, whatever, it's fine. So then I waited, and I texted him like the next day, and he responded. Okay.
Oh,
So I was
okay,
like,
okay.
all right. But it was still a little off.
Yeah.
Still a little off. Anyway, fast forward. We were talking about going on a second date when he
Yeah.
was back in town because he had left town.
Okay.
And like he was like, I'll be back. And so we were chatting about all of that.
I like that.
And so then, like I said, it was like a little off. And then, okay, so then I've got to get this right. The timeline. The timeline doesn't matter. Fast forward, I was like, Thanksgiving came around.
Okay.
And it had been a really choppy. Like, I was like, I waited like a whole week. I'm like, I'm not going to keep. I knew something was off, but
Yeah.
he put those feelers out.
Yeah.
But I also wasn't being like the triple texter. No offense,
Smart.
Andrea. I was like, I just whatever.
Yeah.
Going on with my day. But then like a week later, I'm like, okay, it was Thanksgiving. I'll send him a little happy Thanksgiving text.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
That's
It
cute. Worked, right?
And it worked.
No.
Oh, it did not
Crickets.
work.
So then I'm like, and he'd always responded, even though
He didn't respond to
he
Happy
didn't respond to Happy
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving. And then you and I met, And I'm telling you all about this. And I'm like, I've been ghosted.
Yes.
And I was I was a little like, wow, I've been ghosted. Well, yes, that's how we bonded over me being ghosted.
Yes.
But I was almost like, wow, how adult of me in this new life of being married for so long. And now I'm in this dating game and like, I've been ghosted.
Oh, I think it happens to everybody at least once.
Right, but this isn't where the story ends.
Oh, tell me more.
I think I filled you in. Like 3 days later, he texts me back. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to hit send on the Happy Thanksgiving. And I'm like,
use that one all the time. Oh,
all right. And I just really left it there.
Okay.
Like, I was like, okay, cool. I appreciated him texting me back and whatever, but I didn't respond. I was like, I knew.
Yeah.
Then Miss Andrea and I are out for happy hour one night. And we had a couple glasses of wine and we're chatting. She's telling me about some of her stories and we're talking about this guy and she wants an update. And we're like, well, let's just text.
Worst
let's
idea
just feel him out. Andrea's got all the good advice. Let's just text him. And like,
I like to be in the moment.
I was like, Andrea, he will text me back. It's
a matter of time.
Right.
Just
and like, but I
weeks.
don't want to like. But I'm like, I'm all about feeling it out one last time, right?
Well, yes, you need some closure on that because because you did the Happy Thanksgiving, then he came back a few days later, but you're kind of left going.
And I got
so
the
are we going on
closure.
that second date when you go to
So
that?
the next day, he texts me back.
Okay.
And he
Wait,
said,
what did we say?
I was driving. I had just had like coffee at the place we had first met. And be like, just use that. Be like, yeah. So I used that, whatever. So then he did text me back. And this is when he told me that he wasn't moving back to LA anytime soon. And he was on his way actually moving to another state, a different one than he was in now, for like a new project. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. We chatted back and forth a little, very friendly. I'm like, that makes sense. I even think I said to him, well, that like I could tell something was going on that kind of kept you preoccupied.
Yeah.
So I'm like, perfect. I was like, and I didn't say that to him, but I'm like, that was like okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Like he's not texting because he's busy and it's kind of just moving
and he's got
out.
a lot
Like
going on.
there's probably not going to be a second date. Cool. Chapter closed, right? No.
What happened?
Nope. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So now I'm going to get back on Bumble. Like go to start swiping and I go into the chats and he's the last person I had chatted on there, right? He's at the top. Mm-hmm. Nah, he's not there.
Gone.
So I scroll down and it's like, so-and-so deleted the chat. And I'm like, okay, on its own, that's not weird because now he had my phone number. We'd always talked on Snapchat. Not weird on its own. But it piqued my interest enough to go check Snapchat.
And? Bye-bye.
Ended the chat, like deleted me as a friend because I'm Googling what does an X mean on Snapchat.
That's what an X means? You're deleted as a friend.
Deleted as a friend.
So he...
And I'm like, wow, buddy, I didn't like...
So he deleted the conversation off of Bumble. And
ended
then,
that chat, and
he
then
made the extra effort to go to Snapchat. What did you say to him?
Nothing. You read my text.
I know.
Nothing.
I know.
So I don't
You
know.
didn't do
I
anything
honestly
wrong.
don't. Yeah, I really didn't. Like, I'm kind of glad that I can take it like in stride and be like, it was nothing on my end.
Yeah.
Like he's got to have something going on his end, and that's perfectly okay. But I would have loved to have had some sort of like. And I thought I had gotten that. Remember when he had like responded and said, I just moved. I was like, that's perfect. That was so perfect. Done. All I needed. But I don't think I needed that extra mile. Like, you're like, so you never, ever want to talk to me even as a friend again?
That is so wild. And you've never heard from him again?
Mm-mm. I got the hint.
Wow. I think we need to go to another state and find this man.
Go find him. But you just don't ever know what's going on.
You don't. And I think
he
that's
could
the
have a
biggest
million things going on.
Totally. He could have been married.
I don't think he's married. Okay. I do know enough about him, but maybe he had just met somebody.
Yeah.
Or maybe,
we did kind of think that. We were like, maybe he already met somebody in the new state, and so it just wasn't kind of...
Maybe she didn't maybe she wanted him to cut communication off with anybody. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
so it doesn't always mean it's about you, and you got to learn from it. You just take everything as like a learning tool and kind of figure out and regroup.
Keep going.
That's it. Oh.
Well, that's that.
Okay, so how's that make you feel?
Well,
like, what does it feel
now
like
I'm talking to the other guys. So.
Yeah, so it's not so bad. But at the moment, like,
Well, I think I did go back, honestly, and look at like the text messages and be
Right.
like, was it something I said? But
Yeah.
I was like, nah, it was pretty mutual.
Yeah.
There was, like, I don't think it was anything I said. Like, so I really didn't, yeah, I took it a little personally, absolutely. But I was kind of
Yeah.
like,
I kind of think that's the hardest part is you do take it personal because, I mean, it is a bit of a personal jab at you. All of a sudden, they don't want to talk to you anymore.
Right.
They, whatever it might be. Maybe they didn't like what you wore, or they didn't like what you said, or they don't think you're attractive, or whatever it might be. You might have said something wrong. So we, of course,
We internalize it, right.
Yeah, we take
Take
that
it
stuff
personally.
personal. Does it make you like want him now, like the chase?
no, not, it doesn't
No.
for me. For me, I'm like, I hear you loud and clear, buddy. He knows where to reach me.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Like, I'm not, I did it. We left feelers. We put out feelers.
Yes,
Like,
we tried.
Yeah,
And then I
like-
think you just kind of sit and stew over it
Just-
for a few days. And then
Yeah,
it
and
just
then it's
kind
like
of-
moved on.
It goes away,
Yeah.
right? Where it's not so hard anymore. So what happens if like somebody ghosts you? We'll just say this guy. And then like 6 months later, he comes back. Oh, Katie's got a podcast now.
Oh.
Katie's looking all fly on there. Yeah. And he's like,
No, I would. There would be definitely an explanation that would need to be like.
Oh, so we're going to give him a second chance.
I don't know if it's a second chance. I'll hear him out.
Okay, I think that's fair because we don't know.
But it
what
would be
his
like
reasoning
it'd
was.
definitely be like
A little
red
bit of a
flag, strike one.
Yeah,
like
because
what?
you know now how quickly he can just bow out.
I don't know what he. Yeah, exactly.
So that makes it a little bit
Right.
harder. Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same. I like feel it out. Like give me your reason. Let me think about it. If it's good, it depends
Yeah.
on how cute he is too. Like, do I
pretty
or
cute.
don't I?
You saw him. Was he
yeah.
cute?
Yeah,
Was he
yeah.
cute?
He's cute. He's
But just
cute.
don't ghost people.
Yeah, because that just, I don't know, it does kind of suck sometimes. But
You been ghosted?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it happens, and you just kind of
Have they
get over it.
ever come back from the grave?
Yes.
See, that's what I've heard.
Yes.
I've heard that they sometimes come back.
Mhm. Especially in like, so there's
I'm
like
not holding my breath.
Yeah, but there's like a certain period of time of the year. So it's around September, October. I think they call it deer rutting season or rooting
I've
season.
heard
I'm
of
not sure how to
this.
pronounce that. So basically, it's like summer flings are over. We're coming into the colder
The
months,
holidays, they're
And
lonely.
now I can guarantee you, September, October, I start
they
getting
start-
texts back from guys that I'd gone out with
Do
before.
girls do
or-
this? Do they follow this cycle too? you
No,
think?
no, it's the guys because the guys like to be like coddled and and just taken care of, and they like to have somebody to cuddle with in the holidays, and they don't like to be alone. So once they're done with the summer, then they want to come back into that. So it has happened to me religiously. Religiously around September, October. So I bank he's coming back.
Really?
Like, yeah, September, October, he's gonna.
I'll let
He's
you
gonna
know,
find
and
you.
you can help me decide the move.
If you're gonna, well, it's too long though. I mean,
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying.
That would
I
be
think
almost a
That would
year.
be like 5 red flags.
Yeah,
That might be like a.
Yeah. It's always funny though when you get those messages and you look at your phone like, what? Really? Oh my gosh, you know,
This
and then
guy
it's
again.
usually the little, hey, what you been up to?
that what they
or
usually
something.
say?
Oh yeah, what you been up
But
to?
that we
Or,
did
I've been
that
thinking
like on
about
Snapchat.
you.
That's like it would go months without talking.
Yeah.
But this is a little different when
That was a little different.
a lot different. But anyway,
Huh. So that's ghosting.
that's ghosting. Now we're going to move on to what catfishing is.
Catfishing. We've got some catfishing stories. So, okay, we're going to talk about like what is a catfish. It's kind of a weird term.
It is.
Like,
Like
I
because
don't-
you're catching. I feel like I used to know what this meant. Like you, is it like a fishing reference?
I don't know.
Or is it
I
like
don't
'cause
do
the
well with
catfish
fish
are
references,
cute?
if you remember. The guys holding
That's
their fish.
true.
I
That's
don't know.
true.
But I don't know. I don't know why. What is it about a catfish? I don't know. And is using like old photos considered catfishing?
No, not if they still resemble what you look like. But if it does, if you
Yeah,
look like
like-
somebody different, like you
Like
were
my
saying,
guy from last episode. Yeah,
Did
I would
not.
kind of consider that catfishing because he doesn't look anything like he did in those photos. We're talking like a 10-year
then
difference.
that is.
That would be
intentional, I
That would be
think,
kind of
like
a considered catfishing.
But he could
you
be like,
know?
"Well, it was me." Yeah, not when you were in 4th grade, buddy.
Right. So there's certain levels. You're saying there's like a soft catfish,
Right.
So I would consider that if your pictures are, if your
She's coining
pictures
things again.
are you, but they just don't totally look like you, that would be a soft catfish. But then I would say like if it's totally different person,
That's
that's a hard catfish.
whole
That's
different
a cat
identity. Like,
That's
yeah.
yeah, that is. And so, like, what kind of, do you think you need to do better background checks?
I wish there were was a site that had a background check. I would, I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I think there is. It's called Public Records and stuff, right?
Oh, that's the app? I'm going to go on swiping.
Not an app, but you know what? That just reminded me of a story of this guy that I was talking to, and we had met. We'd already gone out like on a date, and it was really good. And I was telling my kids about it. And Grant's like, hey, did you Google him? Did you look him up? And he's like, he could have a mugshot out there. And I'm like, no, Grant, I didn't do that. So Grant, sitting in the back seat, decides to go on there. You got to pay $1 to get somebody's thing. And he goes in there and he goes, Mom, what is his full name? And he goes, oh my gosh. And he shows me mugshot.
Mugshot?
Mugshot.
What did he do? What was the
It was like when he was young. He just stole something, some jeans.
Is that like are you done at that point? How old?
When he was like 21 or something like that. Yeah.
But you're still like
he
done?
stole jeans. He was a doctor. We called him Dr. Jeans.
Dr. Jeans. I love all your names for people. All right. We were just informed that the term catfish was actually coined by Neve himself from the show.
Oh, the show Catfish. That's a good show.
He made up the term because of what he experienced. I love the show. I just didn't know that. I don't remember that he just made it up.
Yeah.
Based on a long story that I don't remember, but you can Google it.
Yeah. Something about catfish
keeping you on your toes.
The other fish and keeping you on your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he did that phrase. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And everybody just picked up on it. Why don't they pick up on my phrases?
They will.
Some good ones.
They will.
Meat and sheet.
Meat and sheet.
There it is.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a good catfish story for you.
I don't have a catfish story.
Oh, then I have two.
Okay, perfect.
Shocking. Okay, so you were there with me for this one.
Yes.
I had this really hot
happy
guy.
Hour.
Yes. So before I told you about this, I had already been chatting with him. So this guy totally slipped into my DMs. Slid. Slipped right in and right out. My God.
He slipped in.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Wow, so sounds very sexual.
It does. Yes. Use a condom. He slid right into my DMs. Okay. So we were chatting.
Oh, wait, you coined another one. Slipped into the DMs.
Slipped into the DMs. We're going to write these down. Okay, so he slid into my DMs. We had been chatting for a little while. It was going well. It was going almost too well. Like in hindsight, when I look back, I'm like, oh, he said the perfect things. Very much like, remember we were swiping on your things and the guy was like, I don't gaslight.
Oh, yes.
Very much like that, right?
Just
so everything was
just
just perfect.
Yeah.
And then you and I met up and then I was like, oh, okay, let me show you who I'm talking to. And we were both like, ooh, because he was hot. Yeah, he was really
She was super excited. She was showing me the conversation.
Yeah. And I was reading it to you. And it sounded too good to be true as I was saying it.
Off.
Yeah. And Katie's radar detector went off and she's like,
I was like, Andrea, I don't think that this is the guy.
I don't think this is him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was immediately like, what do you mean?
Because we started looking it up. Because he said he was a producer. Wasn't he like a producer
or something?
So
that.
I think I looked him up.
And we couldn't find his name or something,
And it was something was off. And I'm like, Andrea, I think this is
and I didn't want to believe it. I'm like, no, he's perfect.
He was too good to be true.
So I went home that night and I did some Googling and I found a little video and it was an interview that he had. And I was just trying to listen to this interview of him talking. And then got to one point where he said, he was talking about a woman and I think the guy who was talking said, was she attractive? And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I'm not into women.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I'm like, oh, man, this isn't him because he's not into women. Yeah.
And the guy that was online was clearly into
saying he was into women. So I actually I DM'd the actual guy.
You did? You ended up,
because that's why I think it was, we found his actual profile, Instagram profile, and I messaged him.
Or you DM'd the real guy.
The real guy.
And let him know.
I did.
Good for you.
Yeah, I blocked the other one, but I let him know that somebody was using his stuff, and then I saw that he posted a story saying, hey, if anybody's talking to this guy, and showed the picture of it.
Goodness.
So we napped that.
We figured you out.
The catfisher.
You
Yes.
get to coin another phrase.
Right. I'm trying.
You napped.
I know.
You caught him.
I
You
keep
caught
trying.
the catfish.
Yeah. And then I had it happen another time. Huh.
It happens.
Oh my gosh, I know. Well, and you learn from these. You really do, because you learn like what you should be looking for to not get tricked.
Right.
Really.
You can catch it a little sooner.
Yeah. And I really tried to think about it. Like, what is the purpose? What is the intent behind someone catfishing? And I kind of think, is it maybe because they are in a relationship or they're married or whatever it may be.
So
and this is an opportunity to talk to somebody that they wouldn't normally talk to. And they're able to do that without anybody knowing. That's a terrible
Without
thing.
any intentions, maybe, of
Yeah, they have
just
no
chatting
intentions of
online.
meeting you. Yeah, and so then as soon as
Right, they
you want to
can't
meet,
meet you,
yeah,
and
they
they can't.
cut that. Yeah. So I also think it's for people that are maybe a little bit shyer, or they're not, dating sites is a way for you to talk to somebody and be almost
Yeah.
somebody you're not.
They're lonely,
They're
so
lonely
they're
and they
just-
just want to talk to somebody. It's kind of like those, like that movie Her, when you have the robotic, I don't know if you saw it, with Joaquin Phoenix, and they it's like a AI kind of thing, and they talk to you, and then he became like where he was enamored with her and she wasn't real. But it's just the loneliness
yeah.
and you want to talk to somebody. So I was just trying to think of different reasons. But yeah, I had matched with this guy. Oh, he was cute. Totally my type. And again, too good to be true. I mean, he was tall, he was cute, he had a job. I mean, it was like a lot of really good stuff. And we chatted for quite a while, and then we talked about having a date. And so before the date, I don't know, you get that, whether it's women's intuition or something in your gut that says something is off. So he had called me to chat. And as we're talking, I just kept thinking, God, he doesn't sound anything like his picture. He was just an all-American white boy in his picture. And on the phone, he was like Hispanic. It was so different. It was like night and day. So I was like, and I kept looking at the picture because, it just didn't match up. And so, of course, you don't want to believe it, but that's, your gut's going, something's not right, Andrea, So we went on, and then the day that we were supposed to go out on a date, I asked him to send me a selfie. And he sent me like 2 pictures cropped of that somebody else had taken. They were just cropped. So not a selfie of him taking it by himself. So I had to go, hey, no, this is what a selfie looks like. Send me something like that. And then he was like, oh, I'm so busy. He was soft ghosting me. He was like, oh, I'm so busy. I'll send it to you later. And I was like, something's weird. And then also when we were talking on the phone the day before, he talked about his daughters, that he had 2 beautiful twin daughters, and sent me a picture of his daughters. And they were beautiful, these 2 women. And we talked about that for a little while. He seemed very legit.
Okay.
Anyways, maybe 2 hours before the date, I mean, I hadn't heard from him. I just knew, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was so disappointing. Come to find out, a couple months later, I match with a totally different guy that we're chatting again, talking. Everything's good. You think she'd learned her lesson?
No, because you don't know at that point.
Because some guys are really good at it too. And so then we went off and we were texting, and sure enough, he says, "Do you have kids?" And I say, "I do." Blah blah blah. And then I say, "Do you?" And he said, "I do. I have 2 beautiful twin daughters." And immediately, I'm like, oh, but I'm thinking, no way. No. And then I go, oh, let me see. Sends me the exact same picture. So this is a totally different, same guy. He just went and did a whole nother profile.
So the pictures of him were different.
Yep. I was talking to somebody totally different.
But the picture of the girls
was the same. And immediately I'm like, oh, no, you didn't. You're not getting me this time. And I said that, and I was like, oh, come on. You've gotten me before.
Those 2 look so familiar.
It was the exact same picture.
Same picture, not just the same girls.
No, he just goes in and redoes a new profile, because I'm sure you can block people on the dating sites. You can report them.
Once they delete it.
If it's something like that, I would report that. I did report the guy. But usually by the time, when you catch on like that, if I went on to the dating site, they're gone.
Deleted.
They've already deleted their profile.
Was he verified?
You know what? I don't even know. I don't even know.
So crazy.
Yeah, so it's really smart to look and see if they're verified at this point, because that is a good
And then I don't think that's definitely not a background check, but it's just definitely a step that can kind of prove a little bit more that they're who they say they are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think the moral of the story is you can be ghosted and you can be catfished. It doesn't matter who you are. It happens.
Yes.
And it's just part of the process
and
part
you
of
weed
the
people
game.
out, and
Yeah, you weed them out.
Yeah. And you know what? I think you learn from every experience. I think that every experience makes it, each time you kind of learn something new. And I'm like, okay, because I was able to catch a second one.
Oh, you caught him faster.
Yeah, I caught him. I mean, kind of. We didn't actually set the date yet, but yeah. I mean, I tried.
You tried. You learned.
Yeah, it's okay. So, yeah, but we'd love to hear some of your stories if you guys have some really good catfishing, some ghost stories.
Please
we'd love to hear
us.
those. Yes, email us again at info@frommisstomiz.net so we can share some of those stories.
And
if
reminder,
you're okay
it can be anonymous.
Yep.
If you don't want to use your name, and we won't, just let us know. And
or if you want us to, we're
want
happy
us
to
to,
do
happy
that
to do that too.
Yeah.
We're going to play a little game.
Ooh, I love games. What's this
it's
one?
like a little twist on like Never Have I Ever.
Okay.
So we've got some flags, but I also thought it might be fun if you take a drink.
Okay, so if we have...
We're going to talk you through it for those listening at home. We'll tell you which flag we're holding up, or we'll explain it all. But the producers have put together some questions for us that we haven't... Not questions. Well, yeah, I guess it is a question.
Yeah.
Never have I ever, da-da-da. And so we don't know what's coming, and we're going to answer them.
So we have a green flag if we have, and a red flag if we haven't.
Yeah, a little twist. Though,
and then if we have, we have to take a
drink. A little sip. A little sippy
just a
sip.
little sip. Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready?
We're ready for number one. Number one, never have I ever given a fake name or number. Oh, I totally have.
I haven't.
Really? I'm raising my green flag.
And I'm raising my red flag. I have not. Never.
I've done that. You haven't done that like at like a club or something, and some guy comes up and, what's your name?
No,
and you're
I
like,
just turn around and
I would
run.
Go, Katie. I would always use the name Katie.
Really?
Yes.
You wouldn't, really?
Yeah, that was
I'm going to
my
use
fake
Andrea.
Name. Yeah, that's my fake name. And I
don't go out,
usually,
Andrea, except when I'm with you. So
so we got to get you a fake
and
name.
And those guys that we talked about, the married guys that we talked about in the episode before, they wanted our numbers, and we just flat out were like, no, you're married.
Yeah,
so.
I would give a different digit. Like I would say.
I would just flat out, no thanks.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just drink. Number two, never have I ever introduced a date to my kids. Oh, I have done that. Green. Red for you?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you're three.
Yeah, not bringing them home.
Yeah.
So never have I ever. I have not.
You've not. I have. But it has to be like a substantial time of dating.
Right. When it's appropriate to bring them home.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not just like on the second date, like, hey, meet my kids.
Right, third date. No.
Third.
Just
I have to drink on that.
No, I do, because I have.
Oh, you have. I am so confused on this game.
You're not going to get to drink anything.
It's all right.
Number three, never have I ever drunk texted or called someone.
I am raising the green flag. You have?
I would do it sober.
So it doesn't count.
Sober, so I'm going to say drunk.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair for you.
Okay, so, Katie with the green. See? Oh, this is interesting. Is this recent?
Well, we had a couple to drink on my story with the ghosting,
right.
So I feel like that.
Did.
I probably, if we hadn't had a drink or two, I probably would not have.
Yes, and you almost would have texted the guy that you're chatting with Friday night.
Yes.
Because we were having a good time.
So.
Yeah, so there's that. Okay, never have I ever, oh shit, read a partner's texts or emails.
I have.
Yes, I have. Like over their shoulder or?
Both.
Like just flat out read it? Oh,
I've read it.
I have. If there's something suspicious going on, I feel like
you're drinking.
Hold, please.
Yeah. Definitely.
If there's something suspicious going on, yes, absolutely.
He didn't say that he didn't know.
No.
Just said we read them.
And if they're dumb enough to give me their passcode,
then you're
shame on
them.
Okay, never have I ever had a crush on two people at once.
I mean, maybe in 5th grade.
Really?
So do I have to drink for that?
I don't know. That's weird. 5th grade and drinking.
Oh,
that's a weird vibe.
I'm gonna go with the intention. I was like, no, in like a whole like adult life. I don't think I've liked two
Two
people,
people at the
once.
same
So I'm going
time?
to raise my red flag.
I have. I've dated two people at the same time.
But I don't think
they
that's
both
bad.
Knew.
Yeah,
They both knew
as
about
long as
each
you're not
other.
exclusive. I mean, maybe I just can't.
No, I was exclusive with each of them. No, I'm
All right.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm going to go with red because I can't recall ever liking two people at once.
Okay, I'll take another sip for the team.
For the team.
Any
All
more?
right.
Oh, never have I ever. Oh, tried to make an ex jealous.
jealous?
Yes, I've totally. I think I've done everything on this.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. What would you do?
What would I do? Just be me.
Oh.
Come on.
Way to make him jealous.
I don't know. Nothing specific.
Yeah, you wouldn't dress a little hotter if you knew you were going to see him.
Well, that's probably, it's probably like, look your best.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're missing.
Start working out, doing that.
Doing all that
Revenge
thing?
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to drink on that.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Any more?
It's just wine. you
Never
guys.
have I ever
lied on a dating profile. I'm going with red
No,
flag.
I
I've
have
never.
not.
Tell
I
the
have not
truth. That was,
either.
that was our do's and don'ts.
Yeah, that was in the do's and don'ts, especially like about your age. I
Yeah,
wouldn't-
just tell the
There's no
truth.
point lying about that. Your height, any of that good stuff. I wouldn't lie about that.
I wouldn't lie.
Because I don't want to show
And I
up and
rec-
he's 5'5", and I'm
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I
We hope that
should've
no
told
one
the
lies.
truth. Yes.
Just tell the truth.
That was fun.
was fun.
I like that one. That was a good one. Oh, I drank a lot. Huh.
You drink on.
I only had one red.
Okay. I was an even mix, I feel.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'm going to corrupt you by the end of this show.
I think she might. The show, like this episode, right
No.
now, 99
I'll give you a little
in.
bit of time. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit of time. Oh my God, that was fun. The time just
And
flies
it
by when
flies
we're on
by.
here. Thank you guys again for joining us. We're so happy. I know we say it every week, but we really,
are. This
We're
has
totally
been fun.
elated. This has just become such a cool experience for us to get to talk to you guys, give you some advice, some direction, and just know that we are going through this too, and we've been through it. And so if you guys have questions, anything about, you want to talk about divorce, we are going to do a topic later on, and we're going to dive into that a little bit more about what it feels like once you're divorced and kind of take more of a, more of a serious approach to that.
It'll still be funny.
Yeah, it'll still be, because we can't not be funny. But,
I think we're so funny.
but we will talk about that. And so any other topics you guys want us to talk about, we would love to hear from you. And so that is all for this episode of From Mrs. to Ms. Tune in next week for a brand new episode. They are coming out fast, and they are hot, and they are funny. So don't forget to watch and listen and follow and rate us and review us from Mrs. to Ms. wherever you get your podcasts. And subscribe to Past Your Bedtime on YouTube for full video episodes. That's all we got, girl.
Thanks
I'll
for
see you
watching.
next week.
I'm like,
There we go. We'll
I
see you
thought we were
guys
doing the whole
next
thing.
week. Bye.